Good morning and welcome to the new edition of Dr. Lamba's Awakening Call. Lord, what fools these mortals be, shall we their fond pageant see? So said the famous Puck. When Puck was uttering these words in Shakespeare, or rather Shakespeare was uttering these words through Puck, possibly he was referring to the ordinary people, but these words are specially applicable to our politicians. Political correctness seems to be running amok. People use epithets and ordinary words deprived of their real connotation as an abuse. Racism was supposed to define an affinity to your race, to your culture. Now it has become an abuse. Well, that's the law of nature. The connotations, the meanings, the implications of the word change. And that's how the languages become richer. But when these words, instead of being deemed the way they should be deemed, are hurled with meaninglessly, then they lose all their importance. Nowadays, the favorite political abuses are racist, xenophobic, homophobic, and so on. Now, any phobic would be wrong, psychologically, philosophically, and from the human point of view. But then let's confine our attention to racism. Racism, as far as its implication of being derogatory to the other races, as far as it's being discriminatory, is concerned, is definitely detestable. And I know it because I have been dealing with it from different angles. As a human being, as a person who strategizes, I have seen how racism can be harmful. But when this is invoked for petty personal purposes which have no reality, it's bad. Imagine there was a candidate in America, the present president. He was contesting an election and he was called racist and anti-black. And this was a guy who had been honored by the blacks way back when he was a young man in the 30s for his work for the blacks. But once they started it, it goes on a roller coaster and may have no affinity to the reality. Now, I'm no fan of Justin Trudeau. I fully believe that he is not a competent prime minister. But he's a leader of the Liberal Party. And the latest thing that is emerging is to call him a racist. Till now, he was the poster boy of anti-racism. But his couple of pictures when he painted his face brown or black has called him to be racist. And I'm amazed how the politicians are using these pictures, which will shortly, branding him as a racist. Let's take up one lady who leads a party of two, Green Party's leader, Elizabeth May. She condemns him, censors him, criticizes him. But her own candidate, Greg Mellon, who is running in the riding of Avalon, has committed the same sin. He colored his skin to play Mahatma Gandhi, which was in a CBC comedy way back in 1980s. But that is condonable because she says that he has come forward, while Justin Trudeau did not come forward of his own accord, rather it was leaked out. Now, he forgets to mention that Greg Mellon came forward only after Justin's pictures had been released. He knew that somebody is going to release his picture as well, so why not make a virtue out of necessity and confess that he has done it? Then he's a brilliant comic and satirist and actor and quite well respected. But so is Justin Trudeau. He's also well respected. He's also an actor. He was a professor, a teacher of drama. So if what Justin Trudeau did was wrong, then what Greg Mellon has done is wrong. But then Elizabeth May is like a gadfly who talks without reason. And no logic in our arguments. Now come to another ham actor who removed his turban to flourish and show off his dramatic capabilities. I'm talking of Jagmeet Singh, who removed his turban, posed with a long flowing hair and everything. And he released an emotion-laden, typical of Bollywood movies, message that he was pained and he was hurt and he's willing to talk to Justin Trudeau privately to accept his apology. Now, let me ask this man, how many times he has referred to the Canadians as chitta, what they call it, Gora. And you go to any Punjabi house, so in Brampton or Mississauga or even Vancouver, they would refer to the white with the derogatory terms of chitta and Gora. Isn't that racism? And has Jagmeet never used these words? This is my question to him. And the answer would be that they just pick and choose. It's cherry picking. Now come to the reality. If Justin Trudeau was playing the role in that picture of Aladdin, naturally he had to tie a turban. Naturally he had to be brown-faced. So what's wrong with that? If that is so, then all acting at the professional caricature or picturization of Othello should be banned because that's a black move. And when the whites play as a black move, they paint their face. So make a law that Othello would only be played by the black people. No white man shall play the role of Othello because that would be an act of racism. Can anything be more stupid and idiotic? If you go by that, then Ben-Hur should be banned. The picture, the famous picture. Then Attenborough's Gandhi should be banned because it was a white man who was playing the role of Gandhi. Kingsley. So David Attenborough should be called a racist, and so should be David. The whole thing stinks. You cannot label a picture as an evidence of racism. And secondly, it was racism if he was saying that Aladdin was bad. He's not saying that. And then I'm amazed that they did not say that since he's wearing a turban, he's a racist because turbans are worn by the Indians and the Africans. He's using that garb as if it's the proprietary right of the Sikhs to wear turban. Isn't it something nauseating? As I said, I'm no fan of Justin Trudeau. I criticize him for his policies. I criticize him for his mental walk state. I criticize him for his dramatics. I criticize him for his wrong actions. But to call him a racist for the simple fact that he was in dramatics and playing the persona of an actor of a different age, of a different region. That's just not done. And that shows the petty-mindedness. I'm reminded of an election campaign of the president of USA in the 19th century. This candidate was losing during. And he went and he started talking, and he could not find anything derogatory in his opponent. So he started using the inflection of his voice to show that his opponent was no good. And what he said, can you imagine that this gentleman matriculated at the age of 14? Imagine matriculating at the age of 14, as if he had sodomized somebody at the age of 14. And then he goes on to say, he is 50 odd years and is still monogamous, as if he was a profligate, he would have been better. But people possibly could not understand the meaning of the word monogamous. They forgot what matriculation is, but the way he was talking impacted people. The same is about racism. If this concept of racism is to be erased, and racism is not to be treated as an abuse, then we have got to understand that criticizing verbally, in writing, or in action another race can be racism. Using demeaning words, abusive words about somebody can be racism. But simply because somebody has painted his face brown or black, to call him racism is bad. As a matter of fact, what I would say is that is being pro-race. Why? Imitation is the best form of flattery. So if Justin Trudeau is painting his face brown, he is praising brown. He is not a racist. He is in fact trying to show that he is envious of that brown face and wants to be that. So it's an interpretation, what spin you put on it. I would say that shows his Catholic attitude, his sense of acceptance, rather than his racism. No, it doesn't. And if all the dramatics, if all the Bollywood movies are to be banned, other Hollywood movies to be banned, because a white actor is playing a black actor or a brown actor, and a brown actor is playing the white man's role, then all art would come to an end. Next would be why should a painter paint a picture of a colored woman? Or why should a colored man and woman paint the picture of a white? All this is not only bad, but it's nauseating. It leaves a bad taste in the mouth, a bitter taste in the mouth. And these politicians are well aware that there's nothing at all wrong in what he did at that time. I would have been happy if they had said, well, look where the hands of Justin Trudeau are on the bosom of a girl in front of him. That's like groping. Yes, that's bad. That's violating the personal space of another person. But then to call him racism because he painted his face black, that is absolutely lunatic. No, I wouldn't say lunatic. It's mean. It's insidious. It in fact plays a divisive role. As a matter of fact, Jagmeet is racist when he says that how dare Justin Trudeau look like a brown person or a black person. We are better He dares not copy us. He dares not imitate us. That shows a sense of, you see, who are the people objecting to it? Either who have no understanding of the art and culture, because they should know it. If you stop this painting, then you can't be dressed as fairies and goblins. So Halloween be banned. All the pictures and the dramatics be banned. All the paintings and the plaster arts be banned. And Madame Tussauds, imagine she's making the wax statues of the people from all over, whites, blacks, browns, yellows. So Madame Tussauds should be shut down. The whole thing should be stopped. There will be no end to this stupidity. And the sooner you understand it, the better it would be. These insidious, inhuman, anti-human attitudes shown by these politicians are, in fact, nothing but outpourings of their failures. They know that they cannot compete with somebody, or they can compete, but then they want to run down. So it's not ethical even. But then, since when do I expect ethics from these politicians? However, you have got to understand that it's the policies we are concerned with the leader. And tomorrow I'm going to talk to you about that. What sort of a leader should lead us? That's most important. Rather than a man acted in a drama, he play acted, and so he is bad. Wow. I can only hope and wish that these politicians have some sense of and some reasoning capability, and they are able to understand, comprehend the reality of life, and not indulge in these divisive, stupid actions. Thank you.